Hey mamas, and welcome to the Entering Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Marie Bilger, a wife, mom of two, VBAC mama, and doula. Join us every episode to learn from professionals, special guests, and moms just like you, ensuring that you know what you need to know and discover things that you didn't know before. I believe in you. Let's doula this, and let's navigate the transition of entering motherhood together. Hey mama, this is another episode of the Entering Motherhood podcast. This specifically is a doula talk episode, which if you don't know, we go live on Instagram every Tuesday around 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And by we, I mean me and Katelyn, who is the co-creator of our signature Own Your Birth childbirth education course. Please go look at that if you are looking for a childbirth education course. It's our signature Own Your Birth self-led online comprehensive course, and it is just packed with all the information that you will need to be able to feel informed and empowered as you navigate this stage of pregnancy and leading into birth and even the postpartum period. So we are so excited about that course, and we have been chatting and having these doula talks to provide you with more information to really own your birth and have information that maybe you didn't know or refresh your memory on things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you ever have any topics that you feel like you would want to add or hear, if you have any questions, then please reach out to us and let us know so that we can include it in these episodes and in these conversations that we are having for you to really feel informed and empowered. So let's get this episode started. Hello. All right, so usually we have our doula talks on Tuesday, but yesterday there was an issue with trying to go live. So we are on now today, Wednesday, coming and talking to you. So I am going to add Katelyn, and we are going to be talking about growth, baby's growth, and those early ultrasounds, specifically the first trimester.
Hi. Hey.
I said, yesterday we were having
more issues.
I know. I said yesterday we were both, it was just like not letting us go live and go on Instagram. So I'm not sure if there was some technical issues on their end or what was going on, but
It had to
we are
be
here.
I don't know. But yes, we're here today.
Yeah. So we want to talk a little bit about baby's growth in those like first few weeks, specifically the first trimester, and what kind of ultrasounds are happening then, what you can be expecting, what your options are, everything like that. And then as always, if there's any other questions that you have about this topic specifically, or if you want to hear about other topics, feel free to just leave them in the comments, or if you're live here with us right now, you can drop some questions and we will try to answer them live.
Yes.
So, do you want to kick off and start?
I can, yeah. I'll just start with growth. I feel like, for me at least, one of the easiest ways to track growth is with those little apps, and there's like a million of them. I think I have like 3 or 4 just still on my phone, and I'm not even pregnant. But I really like those little apps, and I think it's one of those things, like, you can get so engulfed in it, though, that it's like, "Oh, baby's this size," or, "Oh, what's going on with baby, da 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 da," that it can almost be stressful for some people. And so, like, I want you to remember you don't have to stress over this, you know? But also, it can be fun. Like, it can be fun to take the little bump pictures and, post "Oh, baby's the size of a blueberry," or whatever it is. And I also really I think one of the biggest reasons why I like these little apps is because it can give you, like, a size comparison. Like, everybody knows the size of a blueberry. Everybody knows the size of a banana or, whatever. But it just gives you a good visual. And then, like,
Yeah.
because you can see your belly growing, but you can't see the baby inside.
Yeah.
And so I really like them for that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always liked, like the fruit comparison is like fun, but like I'm very numbers oriented, very like exact. And so at that stage, like in that first trimester specifically, even babies are following a very specific pattern. Like conception, they are literally the same size everywhere. And then it's just like they are growing at this like very specific rate. And
Mhm.
so if you are choosing to go in for that first initial ultrasound, they are able to do measurements. And that I would say is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So when we talk about ultrasounds later in pregnancy and things like that, the accuracy might not be as, specific because babies are growing at different rates at that point. But in those like very first few weeks, they are able to, within a certain degree, usually able to pinpoint how far along you are. And so that can help as far as, just saying like where you are, like maybe you miscalculated your last period. Maybe you got pregnant and you had no idea that you even were pregnant. And so like you don't know when your last period was or when you conceived or you weren't tracking anything. And so maybe your periods are very irregular. And so I would say like that like initial ultrasound is usually like very specific, but it's also optional. So you can just kind of take a guess and figure out like how far along you are, and like as you progress things will get a little bit more clear, or you can wait until the 20-week ultrasound, that full anatomy scan. But those like first few weeks, like you were saying, like we can't see inside, and so like we really don't know like what that's looking like. And so sometimes it helps to really just have like those app comparisons, and it will say like babies, an inch, 2 inches, this many ounces. And of course it's like all kind of an estimate based on like, research and knowledge and stuff in that realm.
Mhm.
But it's really cool to like be able to get that because you might not be showing in that first trimester. You might not be really, emulating like any other signs or things like that. Like maybe you're not having a lot of symptoms. Another doula talk that we did, we talked about early pregnancy symptoms.
Mhm.
So, maybe you're not experiencing any of those, but you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant, or you peed on the test and you know that you're pregnant. And so it's really cool to just have something to go off of. But it also
Mhm.
can be, like you said too, like it can be kind of, like, overwhelming, like, maybe, like, you go in and you think that you're 8 weeks, and the doctor's now saying, "Actually, we're measuring and you're only 6 weeks.
Mhm.
This could mean something." That could be a lot to, like, handle and hear
Yeah.
and really process, but it also could be maybe the dates got mixed up. Maybe,
Mhm.
baby's just developing a little bit differently. And so there's a lot of those things. And
Yeah.
then, we could talk about heartbeat at the first ultrasound too. So
Mhm.
usually, even as early as 6 weeks, there could be a heartbeat, but definitely I would say like 8 to 12 weeks, there's going to be a heartbeat there. So those are some things to like look at and like consider, if you want to get the ultrasound, or, if
Mhm.
you want to hold off, and just knowing that like there is that option.
Yeah. And, of course, there are some small, like, minute risks associated with an ultrasound, but it's mostly just like exposures and stuff. I'd say the biggest risk associated with an ultrasound is gonna be the worry, because like you were just saying, at 6 weeks, generally, they can hear a heartbeat with an ultrasound. Usually at 12 to 14 weeks is when you can hear it with, like, a Doppler, but, if you go in at 6, 7, 8 weeks and you don't hear a heartbeat, then that can be really stressful.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't necessarily mean that, you could go back in another week and it's there, or maybe it's not. But, just that level of stress can be a lot.
Yeah.
And, if that happens or something else happens that's stressful, just know that, like, you are not alone. It is very stressful, and, you know, band around your support system
Yeah.
if that's something that's going on, because, it's hard. And
And to your point too, like your support system, sometimes people are told, don't tell anybody before 12 weeks, or keep it a secret, or, like there's this whole thing of like who you tell, who you don't tell. And it's just one of those things where, like, please just tell, I mean, like, obviously, like, hopefully you're telling your partner, but, like, please just tell somebody, because if there is a situation, with a miscarriage or just, like, any abnormalities? I say that right? If there's
Abnormalities,
anything
we know
out
what
of
you're
the
getting at.
ordinary. If something is happening, it's nice to have people that you can talk to and tell these things to and confide in, and really just like feel comforted in knowing that like somebody's there, they're listening, they're knowing what you're going through, and they're able to be there for you, because like
Yeah.
the providers aren't necessarily going to give that, comforting feel. Sometimes the people that are like doing the ultrasound, it's so routine for them that they're just like, oh, yep, yeah, like, we see something off, or there's no heartbeat, or, it's just like a day in and day out for them. And like
Mhm.
hopefully, you get somebody that's like very like kind and compassionate and can like talk you through these things. But most of the time it's like just like very routine for them. And when you think about like how often miscarriages happen, they're probably seeing it so much more often. And this is maybe your first pregnancy. This is, a really big deal for you to be going in. Like I know with Rosie, our first, I, peed on the test. We were positive there, but it was still like not until we had that ultrasound did I even feel like it was real. I wasn't, you know, showing, and like and I wasn't feeling much. Like I was like, are we sure we're even pregnant? And we were going home for Christmas to like go see like family. We're originally from Pennsylvania, and so we were going back to Pennsylvania to go see family, and we were like, well, we should tell people, right?
Mhm.
But I was only technically about 5 weeks. So, like, we were considering going and getting blood work done and, like, having, like, some early ultrasound,
Yeah.
because I was like, "Well, what if we tell people and it was a false positive on
Mhm.
the test?" You
Mhm.
know? Like,
Yeah.
I was so unsure and, like, conflicted with, like, how is it that all I did was pee on this stick and it's, like, proving that I'm pregnant? And
Yeah.
so it really wasn't real feeling until that, like, very initial ultrasound, and you see, like, the little tiny gummy bear, and
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I do have a baby in there." And then, because you're not starting to feel baby kick in that first trimester. You're
No.
not, like I said, like, showing or growing necessarily. It's really just kind of like, again, like, we've talked about, like, your intuition and, like, listening to your body, and it's really falling into that,
Yeah.
and it's really just trusting that, like, there is life there
Yeah.
and that there is something going on.
For sure.
But
And something I wanted to add to, like, because I do feel like there is this huge stigma around telling people early, and if that's something you wanna do, go for it. The rule that I went by, because we told people when I was pregnant with my second, with Naomi, we told people really early,
yeah,
but my rule of thumb for myself is tell people that you would be okay telling that you had a miscarriage.
yeah,
People that would support you and not just brush you off to the side. And so that's what we did, and I mean, things worked out. We didn't miscarry with Naomi, but I truly feel like when I started telling people, everybody was so thrilled and excited, and I know that they would have been there to support us
right.
had things went differently. So that's my rule of thumb, like, there's no right way of telling people or tracking
Yeah,
or ultrasound or not, whatever. The right way is what you are comfortable with and what your intuition
yeah,
says, kind of circling back around to that intuition piece, because you know your body, and even though, like you were saying, you might not even feel pregnant yet, it might not feel real, but you already know this baby growing inside of you so much better than anybody else because they're your baby. That baby
right.
is inside you.
Yeah,
So, that's my 2
yeah.
cents on that.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that could be a whole other topic that we talk about, just like when you tell, how you tell, like
Yeah.
telling coworkers, telling your boss, like
Mhm.
telling just family members, friends, like things like that. Like it's
Yeah.
really, again, like one of those things that's entirely up to you. There's no rule book, there's no guidelines, but yeah. But
Yeah.
staying, on that topic of like growth and like early ultrasounds, just, what are you feeling? I think the apps are great for that kind of stuff because it's very specific. It's very exact. It's not opinionated. Sometimes the fruits get questionable because it will go from like a melon to a banana and it's like, how, what? But it's like all in like, size comparison or
Yeah.
length or weight. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's just one of those things where it's like it really helps to just like have some sort of visualization, have a way to connect with baby in a sense of like, what size they are or like have something to like wrap your head around. It can also just like help with like older siblings because they don't, they can't see baby. They're not there. See Solomon.
He's like, "What's going on?"
But yeah, it just like helps with like older siblings sometimes. It gives
Mhm.
you something to, look forward to every week and track and have. And it's actually funny because my husband, I remember he used it for Rosie. It was another app, like a manly, baby tracking app. And it was like they did like insects and different animals and like I don't know, like
That is
camping
so funny.
equipment. Like, yeah, I'll have to look
Love
and see
that.
what app he used because he was very like into that, but it also gave him like tips of like, hey, your, partner might be feeling like this at this point. Go out and buy them some flowers or like
Mhm.
whatever it might be. Like they might be really like hormonal and emotional at this stage. Go and do this. So it was like also giving him like things to do and things to look forward to. So like your partner can be involved in that too.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. Involve your partner in every aspect that you wanna involve them in, like, really everything. Just involve them in everything because I feel like it helps build that bond with them.
Yeah.
Hold on, Solomon. Yeah, and, like and I feel like too something else about baby's growth that I did wanna throw in here is it's not necessarily first trimester related, but I know for me, particularly, when I was pregnant with that one, I was so confused why I wasn't feeling this baby after, like, just the first trimester. I was like, "This baby's big enough, I should be feeling it."
Yeah.
But I didn't start feeling him until probably after my anatomy
Oh.
scan. I think I was, like, 21 weeks,
Yeah.
and I was just mind blown. I was like, "You can see my belly growing.
Yeah.
Why can I not feel this baby?" But that's normal, especially for first-time
Did
moms to not
you
start feeling baby.
where was your placenta placed?
It
Did
was
you
in the back.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Yeah. Because I was
wasn't
gonna say with
anterior or
both
anything.
of mine, I always had an anterior placenta, and so, like, sometimes that can make it more difficult when you're feeling things, and especially for
Yep.
your first,
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even recognize the feelings and the flutters and, like, all these little, you know like, they say, like, popcorn or something, like,
Yeah.
like, all these little things, like, happening inside and, like, all the little tiny movements because you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, like, that's gas," or, like, "My stomach's just grumbling," like, whatever it might be, but, like, those are little tiny movements, and, like,
Yeah.
sometimes, like, when I did have an ultrasound at my 20-week with Rosie, I remember her turning and flipping, and I was like, "Oh, that's what that feeling is."
Yep.
So it's like it sometimes it helps to like, have that ultrasound to like see that baby's actually moving and to
Mhm.
like feel and like understand what those little flutters are and those little like movements. But yeah, and like you said too, like there are like with everything, there's like benefits and risks. And like, there are some research and like risks associated with ultrasounds and like excessive ultrasounds and
Mhm.
things like that. But and it's something that's still like fairly new. We didn't have this technology, you know, going back and it was
Yeah.
even, a generation ago, not necessarily something that they did or was like
Mhm.
done unless there was something that was concerning.
Yeah.
And so just like keeping that in mind too and understanding that, you know.
Well, and I know my mother-in-law has told me that she had some high-risk things going on when she was pregnant with my husband, and she said, "The only reason that we had an ultrasound is because of
Right.
this." she was like, with their first, they didn't know the gender, they never got an ultrasound, nothing. And she was like, but, with Joe, my husband, we had an ultrasound, so we found out the gender, but other than that, if it wasn't for being, a little bit more high risk, then they wouldn't have even done anything.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important to remember too, is like, you know, it's not a requirement. If it's something that you're like, "Just I don't know, I don't really wanna do it," that's okay.
Right.
But if it's something that you're like, "Well, I kinda wanna do it, I kinda wanna see baby, see how they're growing and developing," then that's okay too,
Yeah.
you know? So and don't let anybody shame you for making your
Right.
decision.
With anything. Yeah. Yeah. But is there anything else that you wanted to add in this topic?
Don't think so. I feel like there's a lot of ways it could go, but I think we have covered just fine. I did wanna say, actually, kinda tying back to the course, we talk about a lot in the first trimester and, just about growth and development and how to get nutrition in and, all kinds of different stuff, picking a provider, aligning your care team. And so if you are in this stage of pregnancy, I really advise you to check out our course because it is just so jam full of information. And if you're not in the stage of pregnancy, if you're in the second or third trimester, it's still going to benefit you.
Yeah.
But man, if you have this information in early pregnancy, it could really be pivotal for your birth prep leading into birth and postpartum because we cover that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and, like, these doula talks, like, we're fun and light and, like, kind of just briefly discussing things, but, like, in the course, we get super deep, and also, there's a Facebook group that you can be, like, constantly asking us questions. It's all private Facebook groups specifically just for people that have the course, and you're in it for life. So, like, if you know, like, this is your first baby and you wanna have, like, multiple babies, like, it's always gonna be changing. We're hopefully gonna be adding, new things all the time, different, like, workbooks and spreadsheets, different like workbooks and like sheets that like printouts, PDFs, things to help you like really quick, go-to things, but also just like diving really, really deep. And so, yeah, we, always invite you to come join us there and benefit from that. And like it's titled Own Your Birth and really just like take charge and know the information that you are making educated decisions and informed decisions and you are just, rocking it and owning your birth.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's your birth, nobody else's.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well,
Mm.
it's always great talking with you, Katelyn. And,
Mhm.
as always, just, drop your comments below. Any questions, feel free to message either of us. We love talking about this stuff. We love talking about, trying to conceive, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, all of it. So reach out to us.
Well, we will talk to you later.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you, mamas, so much for listening. Remember, you are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, message me, email me, call me, beat me. You know how to reach me. We're doing this, mamas. I am so excited to catch you here next week. This is your one-stop go-to place for helping you find the resources you need to make the best choices for you and your family during pregnancy, birth, and most importantly, postpartum. See you later, mamas.